Here's another lovely view this morning over Darwell towards Robertsbridge and Hawkhurst, that kind of way. As I said before, this is the area where the little tributaries of the River Rother start their journey, and many of them join up at Etchingham, and that's a project for next year. One of the trademarks of the estate here was that in order to provide work for the local people at times of difficulty, Fuller had them build this wall around the estate. And I'm standing in the road that goes around probably what's the north part of the estate now, and you can see in the distance towards the rangers or wardens places up there. Where the hell am I going? Oh, there it is, yeah. You know, you can get some idea from just here how vast the size of the estate was. I know I'm walking towards the sun, and I'll try to get out of the sun in a minute. And you'll see the wall disappearing round the corner towards Brighton itself. And not all of it is still intact, but you can see, if I get a bit closer, how strongly it was constructed. They've obviously had, or are going to have, some kind of equine event here. Now, one of the other things that Fuller built was a summer house. And this is annoying because I'm fairly certain the summer house is just over the other side of those trees there. But there are no signs here to say that there is a public footpath. I can hear geese. Yes, as I say, there are no signs to say it's a public footpath, so I really don't dare go up there, and I don't know whether that showed up on camera, but a little bird with a bright yellow belly has just flown across in front of me, and I can think of no other bird with a bright yellow belly than a bird I spoke about the other week on High and Over, the yellowhammer. Little bit of bread and no cheese. This is certainly very, very different scenery to some of the places I've been to so far this summer, and I hope you're enjoying it. In the distance I can hear a train on the London to Hastings line, and also way in the distance the sound of an aeroplane probably heading for Gatwick Airport. But apart from that, very little heard except the sounds of the countryside. Wood pigeon in the distance, little bit of the dawn chorus, not so loud at this time of year because obviously the nesting and that's all finished, so they haven't got territories to protect. I was just having a pause to see if there was anything interesting, but it's time to move on, otherwise I'm going to bore the pants off you, aren't I? Well, welcome to Brighton. And as you can see, we're a lot further along this wall now. I spoke earlier about the iron industry. The Sussex ironstone, also used quite extensively in building. Oh, there's a bird up there that's having a real... I am here in the centre of the village of Brighton, and this is one side of the church. You can see the dark walls there. There's the ironstone. I think that's ironstone, possibly a mix of iron and sandstone. It's been here quite a while, as you can see from some of these older graves here. But, well, a lovely setting. Once again, one of these Sussex churches that's right up on top of a hill, and would call in the people from way around. Still a few wildflowers left for us to enjoy as we walk along the road. Let's get out of the sun. This, of course, was the, if you like, the centre of Fuller's empire, his home village of Brighton. Hard to believe double-decker buses used to come through here once every couple of hours. I don't think they have any public transport at all now, apart from maybe one little minibus a couple of times a week. There's a sad reflection of the times. Telephone box. Nice to see the link with times past, and the telephone pole there. But of course, with the advent of all this modern technology and mobile phones, people just don't use public telephones anymore. I can't help thinking we might live to regret that. It's the village hall. This is a lovely spot here now. You could certainly envy people their bucolic existence here, couldn't you? I mean, what lovely houses. Really beautiful setting. The old post office there. What a lovely building. Oh, look. How lovely. My problem is I'm going to see if I can get into the churchyard. I'm not here to cause any vandalism, but I do want to show you probably the most important thing in the video. There's the south side of the church. It does have a clock on the tower there, which we might get a better view of in a minute. But in amongst everything else, you see this pyramid, and that is the mausoleum of Squire John Mad Jack Fuller of Brighton. Now, several rumours abound. One that he was buried inside that pyramid, sitting at a table with a bottle of wine. Another rumour said that he was sat in a chair with a glass of port in one hand and a cigar in the other, as he was usually found to be. I hate to debunk the rumours, but excavations by people renovating it in the 1800s found there was nothing of the sort in there. But it's a nice rumour that we like to spread these days. And this is a lovely old church here. And I've come round here because I think I can get a better view up there of the clock. There it is. And that tells us, or it tells me, that it's coming up to 7:30 in the morning. So I'm usually home and having my breakfast by now, but never mind. You see, the church is just outside of Brighton Park and the wall's going behind it. But anyway, if he was buried sitting up and with if you had a little window, you could see there he's got a lovely view out, down and through. This is a nice touch, this lovely brick pathway. Reminds me of my granddad's house on the farm down in Bath. The pathway up to their front door was all laid out in brick like this. Now, I could get in the car and drive to the next bit, but then I wouldn't be getting a walk in, would I? And it would defeat the object of these videos. Yeah, where that rose was, and as we can see, is the old schoolhouse. Hollyhocks still about. There's a definite different feel about the air this time of year. Definitely. The mornings take a crisper, clearer viewpoint. The smell gets a bit cleaner too. Now, walking down here because I'm hoping that we might get a view across the field this morning to another of his follies. And the most annoying thing is that it appears to be surrounded by trees, so I don't know whether we're actually even going to be able to get a clear view in there. Not helped by the sun, but I'm going to walk across to this gate over here and this is extremely annoying. Now, I'll try and, when I get back in the car, I'll try and get down a bit closer to it. But in those trees, I've lost it. Alright. That group of trees there are hiding a tower. Just a tower. It's a bit like a fairy tale castle tower. And again, nobody knows why he built it. There is a rumour that it was so he could signal Bodgham Castle when the work was being done, but you can't see the castle from here. What I'm hoping you can see in the distance though, is shining down there, is Darwell Reservoir, of which I shall speak later on. That's a disappointment, but hopefully we might find a viewpoint a little later on. I'm going to go back to the car now and drive down here and we'll see what we can find. Well, as you can see, I'm right alongside the tower now, but can't see it because it's hidden in those trees, which is a shame. Not to worry, I'm just going to go over to this side of the road and show you a couple of views over Brighton Park there. We're still by the wall, and what I'm actually looking for in the section of park there, and I can see it, whether I can zoom in on it is another question. I have the sun sadly right behind me. Let's see if I can get a slightly clearer view and stand over the road here. There. That's a bit of a clearer view, I think. What I'm looking for is the temple. There it is. He built this grand temple in the middle of his park. Nobody knows why, but it is said that he probably used it to engage in his favourite pastimes of drinking, gambling and debauchery with loose women. So there you go. I thought I'd see that from the other side of the park, but I'm glad I came and stopped here. At least I've been able to show you the temple, which is the one thing I thought I couldn't show you. But I don't honestly think I'm going to get any closer to the tower, which is a shame, but at least I've been able to show you where it is. And now I'm going to make my way down the road. The walls of the estate come to an end very shortly down here, and as you can see the bits of them now are decayed and broken, but there's a view over there again in the distance back over towards Eastbourne. And so nearly at the end of this video for this morning, but sadly I think realistically we've come to the end of the explorations of Mad Jack Fuller and his little empire. Right, better get out of here, I can hear something coming. Now, I've just paused here. A lovely row of cottages up there. done a lot of bridges this summer, and look at this little tiny waterway here. Which you might think is of no importance, but this little waterway is in fact the Darwell stream, and it feeds, believe it or not, along with several other streams, into what is now the Darwell reservoir. Now, once upon a time, probably the watercourse was a bit bigger than this, and these would have been the streams that fed, amongst others, into the River Rother. As you can see how wide the floodplain is there, especially when you look at the vegetation. Nowadays they all feed into the Darwell because it was dammed up to make a reservoir water for the people of Hastings. But amazing how such a little thing provides a very important purpose. Now, I've come to the final port of call for the video this morning. I'm pushing on for 10 to 8. So, a lot more people about. People walking dogs. This road is not exactly the safest road, but I wanted to bring you here as a little taster towards what I've got in mind for next year, because down there you hardly notice anything at the moment because there's not much in there, but that is a tributary of the River Line, and the River Line west of Battle was at one time called the River Breed. It was when I was a kid, but the River Breed now has been officially set to start back on the other side of the A21, and what was the River Breed this side of Battle is now called the River Line, if that makes sense. But the reason I'm here, and you'll see the signpost there to Penhurst, is because in Penhurst there were some little docks, and ships used to come up Pevensey Bay to Wallace Haven and bring goods in and take iron products out. And so this little area here, we're up on the Battle Ridge in a little dip. Either side of the road that you see in front of you, you have tributaries either of the Rother or the Breed, or going further west, taking the waters down through and having been dammed up in years past, the great hammer ponds of the big iron forges at Ashburnham and places like that. And so, very important from a historical point of view, that all these little tributaries could have a story to tell over the years. Where they flowed. Were they bigger at one time? Yes, they most certainly were. There's no doubt about that whatsoever. But look how far we are inland now. 9-10 miles inland, possibly. And yet, within a mile or two downstream, some of these little tiny rivers now, little streams, were big enough to have reasonable sized boats on them to take produce away, or iron, that kind of thing. And that brings me to the end of my little excursion for this morning. Sorry it's been, well, really rather bitty, unfortunately, but I tried my best to bring you a flavour of Jack Fuller's estate. I don't really think I've quite brought him alive in the way I'd hoped to, but as you can see from his follies, he certainly was a larger than life figure, and spent a lot of money keeping people in employment when otherwise they would have been destitute. Other arguments that I made earlier on about what he was up to, I'm afraid history will have to, and then people of the future will have to decide what they think about that. But anyway, you've seen Brighton Park, you've seen the follies, you've seen where he's buried, and hopefully I've told the tale of Mad Jack Fuller, even if perhaps not as vividly as the kind of lifestyle that he led. The one thing they did say about him was that he was noted for his booming voice, rather like Brian Blessed, I guess. And with that, I'll bid you a farewell for my rovings in 2020. And as I say, I don't know what I'm going to do during the winter, but I hope to see you when I'm back out on the road when the lighter mornings come in 2021. Thanks again for watching my videos, and I hope you continue to enjoy them. Bye bye for now.